Hello and welcome to Innovators with Jane King. In today's show, we talked to Casper Labs, who is reimagining blockchain for companies. An executive will be here to explain. And an auto expert is here with tips on buying a car, namely, have the financing in place before you shop, especially in a tight car market. And Bill Carpoo, the CEO of Octane, here to talk about the current state of the incubator community. Now here's Meta Parlikar with Casper Labs. Casper Labs is lowering the barrier to entry for blockchain adoption by providing professional services and support for businesses that are building on Casper. And with me is Meta Parlikar, the co-founder and chief technology officer at Casper Labs. So great to have you.
Thank you so much, Jen, for talking to me today.
So let's just kind of start. Give me an overview of what Casper is doing.
We are revolutionizing the way enterprises are looking at adopting blockchain, right? It used to be that blockchain can be considered like, magical pixie dust that's really hard to get access to for enterprise, but it's not a scary technology, right? We are de-risking blockchain for enterprise. That's really what we're about. And we are here to support and help enterprises adopt public blockchain technology. And we've built a protocol that is future-proof, specifically custom designed for enterprise.
So if I'm a company, like a big company, and blockchain looks interesting for my business, but I don't want to do it myself or hire a whole team or whatever, I can come to Casper and you can build that for me. Is that correct?
That's correct. So you can contact Casper Labs and we will help you get started. But more importantly than that, the protocol itself has a lot of features that are custom built for what enterprises need. Enterprises need, they're responsible to boards and customers and investors to have certain controls around their product. They're subject to regulatory requirements. So we support them by providing features in the core technology that allow them to meet those requirements.
Okay, so they can kind of customize it a little bit, it sounds like, depending on what their needs are. And you just reached a deal with IBM?
Well, we are working very closely with a key IBM customer, IPWE, to bring them live on the Casper public protocol. This is a really important distinction, is a lot of enterprises are using private blockchain technology, which is absolutely fine, but the public protocol really gives you the security and trustless environment that you need, right? When you're talking about really, bringing along consumers in terms of the public trust, right, and enhancing that. And public patent data is already in the public realm, so it makes sense to secure it on a public blockchain.
Interesting. Okay. So what kind of businesses would benefit from Casper?
Virtually any business can benefit from Casper and public or even private blockchain technology because you're able to do interesting things like tokenize assets that were previously ephemeral, right? So if you think about IPWE, they are creating a brand new marketplace for patents. Previously, it was very hard to buy and sell patents because you didn't really know who the owner of the patent was. You didn't know who to contact if you wanted to purchase a patent. Okay. And so putting that on a public blockchain makes it really, really obvious and trusted that this, in fact, is the authoritative owner of a patent. And that's what IPWE is doing in collaboration with us and IBM.
I mean, you're really doing what blockchain was designed to do, is like, the tokenization and the secure and having it public so it's got, everybody can check it and make sure that it's all accurate all along the chain. So can you give me any examples of companies you've worked with and what you have done for them?
Certainly. So we are working with companies right now to do human resources solutions. Okay. Human resources, if you think about some of the big assets that enterprises have, a huge asset is your talent pool, right? So you can do really interesting things like enhanced employee loyalty programs, reputation systems. You can do really interesting things with 360-degree reviews that are synonymous using blockchain technology. So we're working with a company to build something out like this. We're also working with a company called Metacask that is tokenizing rare whiskey casks. Again, these are products that you want to be able to sell that previously were really difficult to sell because they have specific storage requirements, right? So tracking who the owner is of a given whiskey cask, you can do this using blockchain technology. And there's also on-chain auctions that we're building for them. Okay. So auction technology is also something that is due for a really big uplift, right? You can do interesting things like blind auctions where you previously had to trust the auctioneer. And if you put it on the blockchain, you don't have to trust the auctioneer anymore. The blockchain can do that for you.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
And your protocol is called Highway, right?
Correct,
So,
yes.
and that offers more security and speed?
It does. So, there's a lot of innovation that the blockchain community is doing broadly to make these protocols much more energy efficient, right? Casper is an extremely energy efficient protocol because it's based on proof of stake, where the bond actually provides the security and protocol. Now, with Highway, every single participant in consensus has to participate in finalizing transactions and voting with their stake. So this gives Highway a lot of security. It doesn't sacrifice any of that using, probabilistic or statistical security like some of the other proof of stake protocols out there.
So, and I feel like there's still a lot of confusion out there about blockchain. What is it? How does it fit with Bitcoin? People know Bitcoin. I mean, how would you describe to somebody where we're going with this technology? How might it affect how we live in 10 years?
Oh, wow, this is really exciting. So this is a super exciting question. So I see blockchain as a trust layer. So right now with the internet, everything runs over what we call the HTTP protocol, which is like an information exchange layer. Imagine now if you could secure that information with trust. That's what I see blockchain doing. The first application, of course, is Bitcoin and tokenization. But I see moving forward an opportunity to really have a new realm of commerce. If you think about it, where consumer-to-consumer transactions become possible, where everything becomes what we call disintermediated. And if CTOs and CIOs of big companies want to participate in this transformation, the time is now. Because I feel that you can have something like a decentralized Uber or a decentralized Airbnb where there is no central entity marshaling any of those transactions. It just happens via the blockchain. And so as this transformation happens, I think there's a big call to action for CTOs and CIOs to start reimagining their businesses in this new framework.
It's going to be very interesting as we go forward because there's so much potential and so many applications. So thank you so much, Meta, for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
And thank you as well. We'll be right back.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
As we approach the beginning of fall, many Americans are eager for a new set of wheels and families looking for just the right vehicle for their road trips, their beach, their camping trips, and all those things that we've done over the past year. And with me is broadcaster and auto expert Nick Miles to talk about when we go to buy a vehicle. And Nick, I live in New York City. I haven't bought a car in decades, but I would like to consider it someday. And they've changed so much over that time. But let's just start with what kind of advice do you give people if they're looking to buy a car? Where should we start?
There's a lot of advice, especially that's changing. It's very fluid with the pandemic, Jane. So one of the things I'm always telling people to do is go get pre-qualified for financing before you buy a car. You don't go buy a house without knowing how much money you can borrow. And that's super important. 54% of buyers think about financing after they found the car that they want. And dealers are telling us the same thing. 99% of dealers tell us that less than half of people have financing when they arrive at the dealership. So you can do that quite easily. We're in a modern world with loads of technology to allow you to do that. I went to CapitalOne.com/auto navigator to pre-qualify for financing. It's a really simple thing to do. But Jane, there's something important that everyone needs to know, and that is go to there to get a soft pull on your credit. There's two kinds of pull on your credit to find out how much you can borrow. There's a hard pull, which can actually bring your credit score down and your number. And then there's a soft pull. And when you get a soft pull on your credit, it doesn't hurt your credit at all. When you're pre-qualified, it's as easily as showing that to the dealer, test driving and driving away.
Yeah, no, I can see how, I mean, you would need to kind of know what your budget is before you go to the dealer. And that way, I mean, you're just more focused, you know, what you can afford, what's within your budget. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
We're emotional people. Cars are
Right.
an emotional thing. Like we see
Yeah.
something shining, go, oh, I want one of those. 83% of car buyers intend to do more research online. You should do that research. And Capital One have shown us with their research that 92% of people say test driving is important when you're buying a vehicle. I couldn't agree more. Pre-finance, test drive, buy. It's a simple 3-step process.
Have you seen any trends in car buying? I mean, this is an industry that's been very interesting lately. There's been a lot of electric vehicles. There's been, you know, we've got the computer chip shortage. I mean, what kind of things are buyers looking for right now?
You know, one of the things that everyone is looking for is trucks and SUVs. That's still a hot commodity in America. We've been going that way for several years, but don't get too married to a specific color or trim level because there's a real shortage of vehicles out there. It's much easier to be flexible when you buy a vehicle. You can search inventory online at CapitalOne.com/auto navigator at the same time as pre-qualify for your financing. So the ability to actually search for a vehicle and pre-qualify can be done in one place. I'm also suggesting to people, you know, have several options out there and don't be too married to the fact that you really want a black car or a red car. Be flexible because inventory might not allow you to go where you want to go.
Yeah, interesting. And I've been seeing a lot of white cars lately. I don't know if that's a trend or I just have been seeing a ton of them lately. And okay, so Nick, is there a one-stop shop? Like Capital One is a good place to go. You can find out all the financing, how much your monthly payments will be.
Yeah.
You can get all of learn what your cash flow is. So that's a good one-stop shop place.
Absolutely. I will also answer that other question for you. 60% of cars in North America are black, white, gray, or silver. So that's an interesting note to make. Yeah, CapitalOne.com/auto navigator will allow you to pre-qualify for financing, see your monthly payment, see your total loan cost, the interest rate. Everything is transparent there. It does a soft pull on your credit. At the same place at CapitalOne.com/auto navigator, you can search millions of cars from thousands of dealerships. Once you have that, you can either download the app on your phone. For instance, you can take your Apple phone in to the dealer and show them the financing. Then it's basically as simple as test driving, signing the paperwork, and then you can enjoy that car instead of just looking at it online and going, why didn't I buy that? Because I wanted that and now it's sold. The opportunity is to actually go and pre-qualify and buy it all from one place.
And we're heading into the final stretch of 2021. Hard to believe, but is this a good time of year to look for a car?
This is the most popular time of year to look for a car. Labor Day through the end of the year, it becomes a frenzy at the end of the year for people who need to spend that money and get their tax returns sorted out. So they're looking to purchase the vehicle within the calendar year. So I'm always telling people, don't go in half-heartedly. Be prepared, be pre-qualified, search the inventory before you go, because you want to make sure that you're armed with the best possible scenario to purchase a vehicle.
Okay, good advice. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us.
Have a great day, Jane.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Octane has helped more than 670 companies raise over $2.8 billion in funding and create more than 17,000 jobs since it started in 2010. Now, the company is building SoCal by driving innovation and growth, connecting people and resources and capital. And with me is the CEO, Bill Carpoo. Great to see you again, back in the studio.
Great to be back, Jay.
It is awesome, right?
In the studio.
We did a couple Zooms, I think.
We did.
So great to have you back, and great to see you in New York. So
it's great to be in New York. Little different.
It's a little, yeah. We're coming back. So now I know that Octane launched a new fund. So I'd talked to a couple of the fund managers about that. Tell me a little bit more about that. What is that new fund all about?
Yeah. So the new fund is Elevation Ventures, and we initially were looking at it to focus on companies coming out of our accelerator, and we've really pivoted over the last 2 months and said, hey, let's really focus on something that's important today, and it's technology that enables sustainability of the environment, the climate, and we see almost 50% of the companies coming through our accelerator that have some type of technology that's enabling that. So similar to what we did with Visionary Ventures, which focused on ophthalmology in 2015, it's picking something that's really got a lot of momentum around it, and as we see those companies really being able to build scale and growth and impact.
So now before, were you just kind of helping these companies network with capital fundraise, and then once they got to a point you were like, okay, fly on your own, but now you're taking a piece of some of them that you think, right?
Well, yeah, so generally our accelerator is supported by the SBDC, and our accelerator gets them to a point that they're ready for and prepared for institutional funding, and that's really where that process ends. And I think one of the things that we've talked about before is our OES platform, Octane Enterprise Solutions, and that enables companies now really help grow, and we apply capital resources and access to expertise that will really help them grow and get to that next level up the revenue curve.
And then what makes Elevation Ventures unique?
Elevation Ventures, the uniqueness is the focus on an industry, but it's really the enablement of the technologies for climate. So, it's not necessarily investing in a turbine company or a solar company. That could be, but it's the semiconductor company that perhaps makes the sensors, or the battery company that makes the components for electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles.
The picks and shovels.
The picks and shovels and all of that. So that's the uniqueness, and we've got somebody leading that's got deep expertise, and as we did with Visionary, choosing very wisely on a leader that's got industry expertise as well as fund management expertise.
Okay. Now you've also got something, healthsocal.ai, and that's something new, right? I don't think since the last time we talked. So what is that?
Yeah, so Jane, you know us. I mean, we continue to juggle a lot of different initiatives, and this was more along the lines that when we looked at it, we said, Southern California's got a great ability to be an AI hub. It's got the university infrastructure, it's got the technologies, whether it's cyber on the tech side or any type of medical device. And so, we thought that let's put a coalition together that could really help drive artificial intelligence and create Southern California as a global hub. So in that, we've kind of stepped back and said, let's really focus it on health. And so there's actually two parallel paths. And one deals with what is really Octane's core competency is let's create more AI companies, let's match them up with expertise, let's match them up with capital and funds. And the second is really more aspirational, is how do we help the problems of health equity? More importantly, how do we create the metrics and the comparisons that take Southern California, and this really becomes aspirational, and make it the healthiest region in the world at some point in the future. That's probably generational. But it really leaves behind a generational legacy. So it's going to be utilizing AI to drive health inequities and a better level of healthcare across the region. And really, we want it to branch out to be globally and nationally also.
Sure. Now, you mentioned the Octane Enterprise Solutions. So, you have an update on that?
We have new leadership in that, and we've kind of made some changes in terms of in terms of what's important to us in that. So the process itself, we gain more and more clients that are part of that platform each month. And it's really starting to take off.
Yeah. And then I know you at least used to have a lot of events in person.
Yeah.
I know you did some virtually as well. I attended a couple of them. So where does that stand? What's the next one? Are you doing hybrid? Like, how's all that look for you right now?
Yeah, and so we're kind of at this point right now, not anticipating any effect from Delta and all. And so we did come back and did our first in-person event in July. It was our ophthalmology event, and it was incredible. I measure things not just by the content and what people say, but the buzz and the amount of people that were there. It was standing room only. Everybody was just enthused to be back and everything. So our next event is actually one that you emceed 2 years ago, which is our High Tech Awards, which is an award dinner. And then at the end of October, the 27th, 28th, 29th, we have our MedTech conference, which the theme of that this year is healthcare advanced. It's really taking a lot that we've learned over the past year. And how do we move healthcare? And I mentioned before inequities and equity and bringing that. Population health, precision medicine, and we're fortunate. I mean, two people that are that are frequent guests here. I guess would be Omar Ishrak, who's the former CEO of Medtronic and the chairman of the board of Intel, and Brent Saunders, who is the CEO of Allergan. They'll do an opening session on SPACs, and so there's a lot of momentum and a lot of capability around that right now. So we're enthusiastic, and everything we do at this point going forward will be hybrid. And what we found was we reached a wider audience. So people want to come back. We know that they do. So we're going to serve that population, and then be able to reach a more global base through the.
Oh, sure. And I appreciate being able to watch some of the events, online. So it was, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah, and someone told me something really interesting that's really stuck with me is that, and this was a little bit over a year ago as we were getting into this, getting into our event season, and they said, Octane's not an events company, you're a content provider, and really act like one, and that's what we've taken to heart. And so our content can be viewed and streamed during an event if you don't happen to be there, but more importantly, it can be accessed on demand at any point in time in the future.
Oh, interesting. Well, great to see you again, Bill, in person. So, and best of luck as we move forward here. So,
well, we'll all move forward together. Thanks
you.
a lot, Jane. Great seeing you.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Here's the news from the week that was. I know what you did last summer. Stay at home. This summer is a different story. Americans are spending more. New data this week showed that Americans are feeling an urge to splurge. Younger Americans are particularly susceptible. If you're a millennial or Gen Z, you're spending about $1,000 a month more than what you did last summer. Not only are Americans spending more, they're working less. Americans are saying, you can't fire me, I retire. Recent research conducted by JP Morgan found that half the people who lost their job during COVID aren't looking for a new one. A staggering 2.9 million people have dropped out of the workforce or retired since COVID began. Well, now that you're retired, you can spend that time putting together McDonald's Happy Meal toys. Instead of giving kids the plastic toys they're accustomed to in their Happy Meal, McDonald's will give them 3D paper-based toys, which they can put together by themselves. McDonald's is trying to reduce the plastic waste generated from the toys. In other news this week, the price of your McChicken could be going up. A new cyber attack posed a threat to the nation's food supply. The U.S. grain, pork, and chicken supply could be at risk after a ransomware attack on an Iowa-based agricultural services provider. The agricultural group said there would be a very, very public disruption to the food supply chain. The attack is believed to be carried out by Black Matter, a successor to the Colonial Pipeline hacker, DarkSide.
Greenwashing is the process of conveying a false impression or providing misleading information about how a company's products are more environmentally sound. Greenwashing is considered an unsubstantiated claim to deceive consumers into believing that a company's products are environmentally friendly. For example, companies involved in greenwashing behavior might make claims that their products are from recycled materials or have energy-saving benefits. Although some of the environmental claims might be partially true, companies engaged in greenwashing typically exaggerate their claims or the benefits in an attempt to mislead consumers. Greenwashing is a play on the term whitewashing, which means using misleading information to gloss over bad behavior.
Coming up this week, we'll get a key measure of the economy, that is durable goods orders. That does come on Monday. That's a measure of sales of big ticket items like planes and cars. The House Price Index is out on Tuesday, and then pending home sales for August are released on Wednesday. Now, GDP, the broadest measure we have of the economy, will be released on Thursday. We expect robust growth as the economy is still emerging from the pandemic. And then Friday, personal income and spending for August. Until then, keep disrupting.